Think of the last thing you learned that was very, very difficult and it was very, very long and very, very complicated. Are you surprised that you still remember it? Hi, welcome to another episode of Unlocking the Mind Behind Make More Work Less. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on Unlocking Mind, we talk about metacognitive bias, and the reason why I have this show is so that we can better understand how our minds work, make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and of course, avoid certain cognitive traps. So for today's cognitive bias, we're going to be talking about the processing difficulty effect. What exactly is that? Well, that is when people have an easier time remember stuff that are longer and more complicated and takes much more time to understand. So when you're thinking back of something that you learned that was very complicated, that took you a very, very long time, are you surprised that you still remember it? Well, apparently not, because that is the processing difficulty effect. And why does that work? Well, that's because as we spend more time working on that information, learning that information, reading the information, and reading it and filling in the blanks as we go, seeing how it relates to us, asking questions as to how it applies to us, we're actually encoding that information with more and more details and more meaning so that we actually have better recall. We may not remember all of it, but we're going to remember a lot of it. And that's because of the time we spent looking at the information, learning that information, and applying that information to our daily lives and what it means to us. Have you ever thought that when you're looking at information that you don't really understand, but you have to learn it, you keep on reading it, you keep on reading, you keep on reading it, and then you stop at certain points and you go, okay, how does this apply to me? How does this affect me? How does this have meaning for me? Because you're connecting all those dots, you're building that coding system in your mind so that you can recall it better and better and better. See, when it comes to our memories are not that great. We have 3 levels of memory. The very first one is shallow, the second one is deep, and then the third one is deep, like very, very deep. The very first one is where we're just remembering short-term stuff, where we're remembering things that are just physical, and we don't put any meaning to it. The second one, when it's deeper, we start adding the semantics, we start adding the sounds, we start adding other senses to it. But the third one, the deepest one, is when we start elaborating on it, when we start adding meaning to it, when we start asking questions and then filling in the blanks as to how those things actually relate to us. And that is why when things are more difficult, when things are more complex and longer to read and harder to understand, that is when we actually have more encoding to that information so that we can actually recall it better. And that's why we can actually pick things out of the things that we learned from a long, long time ago that was very complex, that was very long, and it took a lot of time. And that's why we're able to recall that information, because of the processing difficulty effect. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Unlocking Mind. And if you did, please go back and watch some of my other episodes on Unlocking Mind. And if you like this show, we have a lot of other shows: the Peak Potential Success Show, the Make More Mind Bites, and of course, the Master Mind Bites that's up every single week. Thank you very much for your time, your support, your likes, your subscriptions. I love seeing those comments. And until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. I'll see you later.